California. Thank you so much for being here. We do have a lot to get to, but I want you to talk to me for a second about education. You heard Secretary McMahon make the case that the status quo isn't working. Test scores are low. A lot of key functions in the Department of Education, like protections for students with disabilities, could be done elsewhere in the federal government. They were before the Department of Education existed. Is she wrong?
Then I would just invite Secretary McMahon to my district, because yesterday in a town hall, it came out that 92 teachers for Head Start are given the pink slip. The staff is being laid off, and this is because there's no certainty that they're going to get the funding from the Department of Education. We have asked. The Department of Education isn't giving any guarantee that the funding is going to continue. And the same uncertainty exists with Title I funding for schools in working class neighborhoods and funding for kids with disabilities. So she's saying that that funding is going to continue, but she may just not be on the ground. I welcome her to come, and I'd love for her to assure my district that those Head Start teachers not get fired.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she will be happy to come there, and we'll make sure that she gets that message. I do want to talk about what you're doing in California. You are currently in Bakersfield. If people think that is a town that sounds familiar, it is because it is the former district of former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. What you're doing is holding town halls in districts like that. It's primarily Republican. And I know Republicans have been facing blowback at town halls, but so have some Democrats. Do you think that there is a new Tea Party brewing in the Democratic Party?
Well, Dana, first of all, in America, leaders aren't supposed to hide from people. You're supposed to show up and take questions. And you're right, there is anger mostly at the cuts on Medicaid and veterans being fired, but there also is anger at Democrats. In fact, in one of the town halls, people were upset that we weren't doing enough to protect these cuts. And the main thing is that I'm going so that the representatives from these districts actually show up and take tough questions. That's the heartbeat of democracy. And I also hope that our leaders are going to fight harder next time that there is a budget showdown to make sure that they get some concessions and stop these cuts.
But, Congressman, what about the anger, just to drill down on this, the anger that you're hearing among Democrats, rank and file Democrats? I mean, if I hear it every day, I'm sure you hear it every day as well. Is that something that is going to brew and erupt into a scenario where the Democratic members of Congress are going to get thrown out by their own members, much like we saw back in 2010 start to happen with Republicans?
Well, there's no doubt that there's anger there, and people were very, very disappointed in the Senate for not voting no on the continuing resolution without any concession, without getting a concession to keep Social Security offices open, without getting a concession to stop firing veterans, without getting a concession to continue Department of Education funding. Are there going to be challenges across the country? Absolutely. Is it going to be a Tea Party? No, because the Tea Party wanted to basically destroy the government, tear down the government. Many Democrats, there's anger, but there's also aspiration. We want to build things like Medicare for all, like a living wage, and a lot of other policies. So you're going to see a new generation come in with a compelling economic message.
Well, speaking of new generations, the Senate Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer, who, of course, you're referring to the fact that he voted to keep the government running, and there's a lot of anger about that. Do you think that he should be primaried? Should Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is very much a part of the new Democratic generation, should she challenge him in New York?
Well, that's really her decision. I will say that there were a lot of people at the Democratic retreat who had encouraged her, and I was just in New York, and I was surprised how much support there is for,
Are you one of those who
for her?
encourage her?
But obviously she will. I haven't talked to her directly, but I think it's for her. But here's what I will say. The American people are fed up with the old guard. There needs to be a renewal. In Silicon Valley, when a company isn't doing well, you don't keep the same team. And I think there's going to be a new generation in this country. They want to see a more compelling economic message. My biggest problem and disagreement with Senator Schumer in the New York Times, he said, you know, we did everything right. We just have a PR problem. No, we didn't do everything right. We didn't get a living wage. For many decades, this country has offshore jobs. There hasn't been a compelling vision for manufacturing in the working class. We haven't articulated a vision for Medicare for all. It's not just a PR problem. People are upset with the status quo, and we need a new generation of leadership.
I want to move on, but I know you said it's AOC's choice to make. Of course it is. You haven't talked to her about it, but it sounds like, well, you tell me, would you encourage her to take a look at it?
She's perfectly capable of making the decision. She's got so many options. She's got an incredible future. It's really her decision. But, all I could say is there's real anger, and there would be a lot of support for her if she decided to do it.
Just on the issue of not the comms issue, but the policy issue, I'm sure you heard Steve Bannon had some uncharacteristically nice words to say about a Democrat, and that was you recently. Let's listen to what he said.
One of the best is Khanna. Ro's economic patriotism, which we always kid him as just ripping off Navarre and my economic nationalism, is he's an economic populist.
Of the three best economic populists in the party, he said that you are one of them. Is that praise that you welcome, or can you explain briefly what that means to you and what it should mean to where the parties are aligned right now?
Well, for too long in this country, we have seen our industries go offshore, Wall Street profits double, manufacturing profits be halved. Places like Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Warren, Ohio, Youngstown decimated, and wealth pile up in districts like mine in Silicon Valley. I think Steve Bannon and others on the right were correct that we should not have allowed unfettered globalization, that we did not pay enough attention to these towns. Now, I have a different vision of how we rebuild them through economic patriotism. We need to say that if you build it, the government will buy it. That's how Silicon Valley came about. We need to invest in the workforce. We need skilled immigrants from different parts of the world to help rebuild the factories. And we need to also invest in our universities. I mean, our universities are at the cutting edge of new science and technology that we will need. But in terms of understanding that we have let down a lot of factory towns in America, there is an understanding among some on the right and the left that the old policies did not work. And it's one of the reasons we have such income inequality in this country and such anger.
Congressman Khanna, thank you so much for getting up early for us out there in California. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dana.
And